Hi everyone, those who are going for the interview, let me warn you. You will be facing one of the person like this, sir like this, because he is one person who has attention to details. So you can't fool around with this guy. You have to be well prepared with the interview. So sir, let's start with the introduction first, and then we want to know more about how to work on the interview skills.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Rony Kurien, Dean of International School of Management Excellence. We are in Sarjapur Road in Bangalore. And, when I'm interviewing students, I certainly, would go in detail with their records. So I'm very particular that students are well versed and meticulous about what they are going to say.
It's not about how bad or good you are, it's about how truthful you are.
How truthful, how ready you are, how well prepared you are, within the scheme of things of what they have done. Because we also understand that they are students, but within that framework, they should be prepared, and well prepared and keep everything, in fine detail.
Correct. And after meeting you for last two days, when you're not going to take me out of my comfort zone to make me uncomfortable, you are going to enter my comfort zone and ask the question on what I have been doing.
Absolutely. I mean, so if let's say for an example, I mean, you're wanting to do a management course with a background in chemistry. If you say you have done a bachelor's in chemistry, I would ask you a lot on chemistry, on organic chemistry perhaps, or physical chemistry. You have just finished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am an honors in chemistry for many years, probably a generation ago. But certainly in your subjects, if it is chemistry, if it is history, if it is physics, if it is commerce, okay, you need to have a sufficiently good knowledge about what you have done. And I would certainly examine you because in that 10 or 15 minutes, this is what we can do best in terms of understanding. And it's always a question of the methodology, the process, the understanding of what you have studied is what we are going to check, because therein lies the ability and the attitude that you will bring into the classroom. Because a management education is a lot about case studies, of understanding, of putting your point of view. So it is in terms of the building blocks that you have had in your education for the last maybe 15 years.
And my G strategy for if you're sitting in front of sir is very simple: stay grounded, learn. Use the word learning as much as possible. Wherever stuck, sir, I'm here to learn. I'm here to, the moment you say learning, sir, I'm here to learn, you will be okay with that. ठीक है, चलो बच्चा है, माफ कर देते हैं. So that's one way I survive every time during the interviews.
Right.
Sir, I'm here to learn. I'm learning.
Correct. I mean, it's just the right attitude. That's what I say.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sir, you've been interviewing thousands of students every year. So my question is very simple, that because the interview season is now coming up,
right,
and I want to talk about my chances of selection, rejection during the interview. What happened during the interview from the other side of the table, from your side? We want to know about that perspective. So the first question will be, the moment I enter the room, how much percentage of the damage is done? How much percentage you look at the student and tell ki whether he is a good candidate or a bad candidate? Is first impression be the last impression is something which actually holds true?
See, certainly first impression, the way the person is ready for the interview, his general bearing does play a role. But certainly you can't always go by that. But that interaction of 10 to 15 minutes with the student, you get a fair idea, because we have done so many interviews and met so many students over the last several years. So we have a fair idea of how students are. Certainly, before we meet the student, we get a background of the student. So we read through that. So we have a fair idea of what to expect in terms of who the person is. And then, of course, we take them through our regular questions. We find out, his background, his scholastic aptitude, the education he has had, and if he has done some internship or if he has worked before. So all those things really add up to deciding on his candidature.
And so this smile which you have, obviously the panelists smile too, and a good panelist will always make the student more comfortable.
Yes, of course.
So I personally don't like those panelists who are making the student uncomfortable.
Right.
Because now I've seen this trend, the B school, they're making it like a Rony's ka show, where they put the student into a lot of stress and he's not able to perform, not able to talk. So which is bad in one way. So what is your take on these stress interviews? So if I'm going to a stress interview, if like you're asking me some hard-hitting questions which I'm unable to answer, so is it this mean I'm rejected or straight away, or is it you are testing me how I'm able to going to perform under stress?
The way we look at it is when we ask certain questions which probably may seem hard, we want to see how the person reacts to what the question is. And the way he answers it may not always be held against him, but we also get a pattern of thinking. And I think that is an indication of how he would respond to a certain situation. And that's what we are looking for. I mean, it doesn't really...
pass or fail thing.
Yeah, it is not a pass or fail. It's just and you know what? We would encourage students to really have opinions. And the opinions may differ from people to people depending on their exposure, their education, their experiences that they have had. So that's absolutely fine.
Correct. So sir, if I'm like if I'm a plain white sheet and there's one black spot, so everyone is focused on one black spot, including I am also worried about that. Everything is white, but that one spot.
Yes.
So, and of course, panelist is going to ask me question on that. If I've taken a gap year, if I have maybe 12th academic record was not that good, any kind of a bad thing. So, should I have an answer prepared for that? Even though I've actually failed because of my performance, if I lie about my health issue, this and that, so would you appreciate those kind of things? Like, not exactly lying, but yeah, hiding the facts.
No, I see. I'll tell you one thing. We are fairly experienced, and we can kind of read between the lines.
Right.
Yeah. So it is best that you be upfront, and there will always be a reason. I mean, see, there are people who have met with accidents. There are people who have taken a gap year in case they were studying for some competitive exam. So there is a reason. As long as there is a rationale behind, your story, it's absolutely fine.
Correct. And try not to lie because your tone will change.
Absolutely, and you pick it up, and you pick it up,
Correct.
And we have met so many people, so it's very easy to kind of pick that up. And then the moment you pick it up, and if then we are able to kind of make that out or call it out, then covering up then becomes a problem because they are just students, and they will not have the wherewithal to withstand that kind of questioning that will come post that. Yeah.
And if you get a panelist like sir, then you are gone. Then he will sweetly roll you up into the thing, then you are gone. Then then.
Yeah, it's better to be very straight and honest. There can be a few, as you said, maybe some black spots. There could be gap years, but that's absolutely fine.
But there will be questions on that, of course.
Of course, we'll ask them because they have to give a reason for that, and that is not going to be held against them. In fact, that might even sometimes help to build their case in terms of why they took that time off. Sure. There are people who take a gap year and probably go trekking or they go traveling. So, it really expands the horizon and get them to understand the world a little better. So that's absolutely fine.
So my next question is about the styling. Like today's generation is more about beard and different hairstyles, and you were also complimenting me about my dressing. So is this kind of in a positive way or a negative way going to impact my interview performance?
Maybe I'm a little old school, but you know what Shakespeare said? Apparel oft proclaimed the man. And I think, for the occasion, it's important to dress appropriately. Now, the reason is that, see, if you're planning to do a program here, and you're going to go through this 2 years, and you're going to meet a lot of industry stalwarts, there is a way that each one of us, for each occasion, would dress. So I think that is important because, particularly when you come into the B school, and we have various people coming from, very well-known organizations, multinational, senior executives, and you'll get to interact with them. And some of them may then become your mentor. And you just started this discussion by saying, what about first impressions?
Correct.
So, I rest my case there. It's always best to be well-dressed. Yes.
Of course, it does matter.
Yes.
And about the beard and styling and grooming?
See, if somebody is keeping a beard, it's absolutely fine. But then that should be groomed. Yes, that's important.
So you need to go to the barber shop one day before your interview?
Absolutely. I mean, come on. See, the point is, most people when they finish the program, in terms of their knowledge levels would be fine. But when organizations look at it, you also need to have a cultural kind of fit. You need to fit in with the team they have in their organization. So all that becomes then very important.
Correct. It's not the main thing why he'll be rejected, but you are unnecessarily giving the reasons to reject you.
Absolutely. I mean, why do you? I mean, I think you just need to do all the right things because
Correct.
you know you're going for an interview. So from your side, you should be, prepared.
Correct.
And there is to be, and I think for each one there has to be a checklist of what we need to do for anything. And I think this would be part of it.
Correct. So when come to my dressing, so black, blue and grey. There is no other color for men. Sorry to say that, but that's what we have been. So that's why now I'm experimenting with all the colors. So I'm trying pink and then this brown and light brown, light blue. So is it yes or a no from
For me?
For my point of view?
I think it's an yes, because let's understand. We are looking at Gen Z and Gen Z, and and if you look at all the magazines and newspapers, it's all about setting trends. Okay. In fact, just to this morning, somebody was telling me they went to the Reliance Trends office, and it was, I think, some 4 or 5 floors, and 80% of them were designers. They just had an administrative office and the rest were designers.
Wow.
So obviously that is catering to the new generation, and that's absolutely fine as long as it's keep befitting the occasion.
Correct. So I'm here to take your interview, so I'm fine, I can dress like this, but if I'm here for the interview, I have to be properly dressed.
Absolutely, befitting the occasion, as I say. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So any last advice you like to give to students before they come for the interviews?
See, before you're coming for an interview, I think you should be quite well prepared. And the way I would see it, it's about your own brand. So you should know everything that you have done. Because there are sometimes students are going back to their CVs to read about themselves. I mean, in certain level of preparation, it should be, you should really be up on your own CV. And you have to know everything that you have done. You should know the year in which you passed a particular examination. You should know how you performed in that particular exam. And of course, depending on the program, you should be quite well read. I know this generation probably does not read as much as the earlier people would, but they also have the advantage of the mobile phone, where you get to read all the news and all what is happening. And I think you should be fairly well read. And that is important because that sometimes separates you from the next person who comes or the person who has come before you. Because generally people say that the students who are passing out these days probably are not really well read. I may tend to disagree, because I meet a lot of students who are well read, and that separates the chances you have with the persons who are coming well prepared. So that's my...
You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
So last 2 things I recommend to everyone. Number 1, please make notes about the way we used to make notes for maths.
Absolutely.
The way I recommend them to do for maths. Same thing for interviews, because you're going to use this not only for the admission, for the first year, second year, everywhere. Next 3 years you're going to use the same notes. So do that. Number 2, what I recommend everyone, whatever is coming out of your mouth, every word should be Googled, and you should have well researched. The moment you say Ayodhya, so everything about Ayodhya, you should be aware of that.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to ask you. They can pick up any point from your line, and then they can pick it up. They can talk about that.
No, absolutely. I mean, now they are students, but otherwise I would say that these days information is all easily available online. So even when you are meeting a person, I mean, if you know you're meeting a particular person, everything is available on LinkedIn. Correct. So as you rightly said, there's a lot of research available. Online, and so immediately at the click of a button. So I think it's important in this information age, to be knowledgeable about the situation and about people and about organizations and about the general news and geopolitics that's there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful meeting you and the interactions we have had in the last 2 days.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.